Hey guys, I'm Latoya Walker,
I'm Lonnie Walker.
and this is We're the Walkers.
We'll build this together, any type of weather. Unity is key. Keeping first God. We will conquer the world. Baby, just you and me. I can vision us now. One big happy family.
Well, we're back. This
That's
is our
right.
second episode.
Yes.
Um, and what are we doing today on the Way of the Walkers?
Today it's story
It's
time.
story
It's
time.
story time. It's
Yay!
story time.
Yes. All right. So, what story are we gonna talk about?
So let's talk about our love story. Um, what comes to mind when I think of that is the Will Smith song "Summertime." Drums, please.
That's a good song to
Yeah,
reference this.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it was summertime. I was coming home from college, and I reached out to a friend. It was a young lady who used to date my uncle. I have an uncle. We're basically the same age. I'm 2 months older than him, actually. I reached out just to check on her to see how she was doing. And she said, "Hey, I have somebody I want you to meet." And I said, "Oh, you do, really?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, how's she look?" She said, "She looked good." I said, "Do she look better than you?" And she said, "Yeah, yes, she does." I said, "All right, well, then I'll meet her. Um, give me her number, give her my number, and I'll call her."
And on my side, she came to me and she said, Latoya, I have somebody I want you to meet. And I said, no thanks. Because I was never the girl who just needed to have a boyfriend. I was in college, I was doing my thing, and I really wasn't interested in meeting him at all. But I thought, you know what? Give him my number because you remember back in the day with the landlines, um, you couldn't call somebody who was outside of your area code. Isn't that right? You're like your
Right. So remember, it was that 1960 Spring slash Houston, and it was long distance, even though you could just walk across the street from Randall's and be at a store across the street in this long distance.
So my
Uh,
dad set it up for the kids line that we couldn't get anybody outside of a certain area. So I knew he was outside of the area, so he wasn't gonna call me long distance. So I was like, yeah, give him my number. That's fine, knowing that he would be able to get in touch with me. And I was good. I forgot all about it.
I didn't forget
He did.
because she said she looked better than her. I said, I got to go see this. I got to find out what this is. So I'm calling, and I'm getting blocked. And so I finally called the young lady, and I was like, "Hey, I've been calling her. I haven't been able to reach her. Can you reach out to her and have her call me?" And then they
And
had some communication.
so, and my friend called me and she said, Latoya, he keeps trying to call you and he can't get in touch with you. And I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and call him. So I called him. Oh, so she did say to try to make me want to call him was like he has such a sexy phone voice.
I do. Hey, what's going on? Lonnie Walker, slow jams.
And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? Is he a good person? What does his sexy phone voice have anything to do with anything? But I eventually called him. And how long did we talk, babe?
We probably talked about 3.5 hours. So we started talking. I mean, we hit it off immediately.
Yes.
Um, I pulled everything out. If I could have sent her some flowers with an Uber, I probably would have. I sang, I danced,
He
I read
danced. I couldn't see
poetry.
him
She couldn't
dancing.
see it, but that's why it was good she didn't see. But I did everything that I could do just to impress her. She seemed really nice and sweet, and so we were just talking, we were vibing, and we were supposed to go out that Saturday to
Yeah.
basically meet face to face.
Yeah, we were supposed to go out with my friend, my best friend at the time. That's who he knew and that hooked us up with her boyfriend so we can meet for the first time and go on a double date. But our conversation was so wonderful that we were both like, we do not want to wait. We want to meet each other right now.
Right. I was like, no. I mean, really, if full transparency, I think I was already in love. And I was like, man, you haven't seen her. You get over there and that ain't what you want. You don't waste all this. You don't waste all your talent. You don't have nothing else to show. So, I already did everything. So,
Not your talent.
yeah, I already
Your
sing, dance,
talent.
read poetry, everything. I was like, man, I want to see you today. And so I called one of my friends and I was like, hey, man, listen, I got this young lady. I just met her over the phone. I want to see her today. So he came and picked me up
And on
and we
my
drove over
side,
there.
he called me and said, "Oh, we're gonna come over. We're gonna come over." And I called my friend who hooked us up, and I said, "They're gonna come over. You come over too, but act like it's a coincidence." She showed up when they showed up because I didn't want to be there by myself with them, and I was at my home, but people were in and out. It wasn't like someone was at the house; they were just in and out. So I thought, we'll come over and then we'll just act like, oh, she showed up. Look at this. Isn't that awesome? So when he said that he was coming, I was just running around the house, just trying to find something to wear, freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna wear? And just like trying to be cute and everything for him. So go ahead, babe.
So back then, we used to wear jerseys. So I had on some blue jean shorts and my Deion Sanders jersey, the Falcons, like the true Deion, young with the juicy Jerry curl. And of course some J's. And me and my partner, we rolled up and we opened the door.
Well, first, what happened was, so they rolled out and they came to the door and they rang the doorbell. And I ran down the stairs, and the way that our house was set up is that you can look out of the window downstairs and see who was out there, and they couldn't see you. So I looked out, and I saw two guys standing there, and I was like, oh, it's that one talking about him. And then just as I thought that, my friend pulled up. I was like, okay, so it's good. And I opened the door, and he was like, hey, what's up? I'm Lonnie. And I was like, yes.
That's that voice. Hey,
Yeah, he
what's
put
up?
on the
What's
voice.
up?
Do
I'm
it,
Lonnie.
baby.
I'm Lonnie. How you doing, girl?
That's right. That's what he did. He keeps sweated me. Is that ain't even how you say it?
Well, they
But
don't. Some of them younger
young
people might not know who Keith
Keith
Sweat
Sweat
is,
is.
but it's okay.
but it was more Barry White. Maybe Barry
Yeah,
White.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, see you doing it right now.
Look, don't have me do it, girl. Hey, what's up? So we hello, how you doing? And then the young lady who introduced us, she came. We all go in, and we sit down,
We sit down.
and her and my friend start talking for like an hour and a half.
Okay, let's back it up.
You keep backing me
Let's
up.
back it up. So I welcome them in.
Wait. So first, when I see her,
Oh.
yikes, bro. I was like, woo, better than advertised. And so I ain't even know what to do. Now you may proceed.
Okay, so we go in, we sit down, and we sit on the same couch, and I'm doing my flirty things. I'm like, turning towards him, smiling, hitting him, trying to get him involved in the conversation because I'm just talking. And then his friend is talking to me, but I'm trying to engage him. And this is how he said, you guys, he was in the chair or on the couch, and he had his hands in his pocket, slouched down, and his head down. And I was like, oh my goodness, he's not engaging me. He doesn't think I'm cute, and he's not talking to me. And so for an hour, the three of us, because it was my friend, his friend, and I were just talking, and he didn't say anything to me, not one single word to me.
Listen, when we got in there, the TV was on, and man, it was this fantastic movie. It was called, I think it was Tina Turner. It was on the TV.
What else got to do with it?
Yeah, it was that. And just for real, so I knew myself. I had a tendency at that time, not anymore, that was back then. I wouldn't make a good first impression. So when I saw her, I was like, we don't want to mess this up. right now. Like we
Like, not
gotta,
right now,
like
maybe
she
later.
fell in love with you on the phone, bro. Don't mess it up. At least get to Saturday, the first date. Don't mess it up now. So rather than risk me saying something not necessarily inappropriate, something offensive or something that may turn her off me, I just decided not to speak.
To say nothing. So I was kind of like, okay, well, I guess he really doesn't like me. And I guess the phone call was a farce. Like, it wasn't
No.
real.
What I did, when it was time to go, we got
Yes.
up
Yeah.
and I turned to her and I said a few more words to her. I said, I'll call you when I get home.
Yes. And that was it. And he turned around and walked out.
And
And
walked
I was
away.
like, okay. So then my friend and I were seeing after she stayed after you guys left. And I said, I don't think he likes me. I don't think he thinks I'm pretty. And she was like, no, he likes you and he thinks you're beautiful. I was like, I don't think so. And I guess she's like, he's going to call you. He's going to call you. I said, okay.
So got home immediately. I walked through the door and my stepfather, I walked in the house and I walked to him and I said, today I met the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. And he kind of looked at me because you got to remember at that time, I'm 20 and a 20-year-old come like, I met the most beautiful woman in life. It's like, you haven't lived. But it just struck me that I would say that, and that's not something that I would say.
right.
So
That's
it was
out of your
kind of like,
character.
right, he was kind of like,
Absolutely.
he's somebody met the most beautiful woman he ever seen in his life. I was like, yeah, I do remember everything that you had on that day, but we're not going into that.
No, it's not.
Woo! So,
Listen, I was trying to impress.
so we go on the date on Saturday.
Yes.
So now I missed the cool. So we
Oh
sitting
my
at the date.
gosh.
We sitting at the table, we talking with the other couple that we're with, we chopping it up. I go, so man, I really hate when you meet somebody and then after 4 days they like, oh, I love you so much and we're gonna be together forever and all of that. I'm like, man, that is so corny to me, and I really don't like when people do that. You ain't all in love after 4 days.
He
So
was hardcore clowning.
yeah,
For sure.
straight up,
Straight
like
clowning.
the
I'm
people
like,
trash, basically.
right. And so let's see what happened.
So,
Tell me
so,
what happened
so hold on.
3 days after we were dating.
You know how in the movie it says a few hours later. So, so this is after dinner, and I think after dinner we went to the house, watched the movie. That was back when you had Blockbuster.
Yeah, you have to go to Blockbuster.
Watch the movie. We drive home, and I'm sitting in front of the house, and we're trying to figure out, I guess, how we gonna end this date. And I said something like to the effect of, I don't really have anything. I don't have no car. I don't have no money.
He was a broke college student.
I was a broke college
Yes.
student. Oh, she remembered it very well. And then I said, I think I love you.
Yes.
I think I said it just about like,
Yes.
This is 4 days after a conversation, after I just straight clown.
Yes.
I just clown. First of all, I clowned those type of women. I didn't even say men. I said women.
That's right. He sure did.
I did. I didn't even say the men because there ain't no way a man gonna fall in love in 4 days. But now I know that a real thug can fall in love in 4 days because it happened to me.
But yeah, it was really touching because even before I really, really knew you, God really opened my heart towards you, and I was already falling in love. And when I saw you standing outside, and I looked and I was like, I hope it's him. And I opened the door, and you're like, hey, what's up? I'm Lonnie. There was such a sweet tenderness that I saw in you that nobody really saw. As we continued to date, your persona was not that. Your persona was definitely just a little, I used to call him my rough cut diamond because I knew what I had, but he just had to be polished a little bit and not like, oh, you need to change. It was just a lot of, a lot of sadness and anger and brokenness that you were dealing with. And but God showed me that aspect of you, and my heart just bursted with just love for you. So when you said that, I was quick to say, I love you too. And it'd been 3 days, actually. It'd been 3 days. So,
So that
so we
was
both fell heavy in love with each other.
so that was that. So now we booed up. Like we
Yeah.
girlfriend, boyfriend. Well, I think we was girlfriend, boyfriend when I met you, but I think it was official after that. And then so we dated that summer.
Yeah, we did that
And
summer.
and then when I got ready to go back to school, she came over to the house, and I was like, hey, I really care about you. I know I'm going back to school. I'm gonna miss you. And I said, I want to play this song for you.
Yeah.
And I played this song, Brian McKnight, "Still in Love," which, oh my gosh, if you haven't heard it, you need to download, listen. It is an amazing song.
And I just sat there and bawled like a big baby because the way that I thought our relationship was going to be was it was just going to be a summertime situation because he
Forgot
was
about that.
at Sam. He went to college in Sam and I was in Houston. Neither one of us had money. None of one of us had a car to get back and forth and see each other. We had to get a prepaid phone card
Yeah, the
to call
prepaid
each other.
long distance cars.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I thought it was just gonna be
we thought
that time.
we had talked about it. We was like, hey, we're gonna do this for the summer, and then after the summer's over, hey, it was a good summer. We're gonna move on. I forgot we had talked about that, but we decided that we wanted to go beyond just the summer, man. And it's been summer ever since.
It's a summer ever since. That's
So
cute.
that was man, it was a good summer. We spent pretty much every day together that summer.
Yeah.
And then we was like, hey, we're gonna move forward and go. So go to school,
Yeah.
get out of school finally, because we met, I was going into my junior year, and I was there 2 more years after that. And then I graduated, come home, and then it's like, okay, it's job time.
Yeah.
And
Well, you remember I think there was maybe, did you already graduate and you went back to Sam for a job fair, or were you at Sam on the job fair?
no, it was my senior year. I had 2 months before I graduated. So it was in March. I graduated that May. And I went to the job fair.
Yeah. Okay.
So went to the job fair. I wanted to be an accountant. And so it was an accounting firm and a State Farm firm next to each other. So I went to the accounting firm, gave them my resume. That's when you had the resume paper. So I gave him one of those expensive resume papers. And then the lady at State Farm, man, she was just really aggressive. Like, hey, you could get this, this, and this if you come work for us. We're looking for people like you coming out of college. And I wasn't going to give her my resume, but she took it. She just basically took the resume from me. And so that was it. I graduated. I started interviewing for jobs. No one would hire me. I don't know what that was about. So no one would hire me. And then I had decided, I was like, man, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back. I'm going to get my master's, which was a disastrous idea. I did not like school at all. If y'all know how much I don't like school, yikes. That was just, but I was going to go back. And then one day I was working at Target. I worked overnight stock shift. And I got off at 7 o'clock in the morning. I came home, went to sleep, and at 9:30 I got a phone call from the lady from State Farm that snatched my resume. And I answered the phone just like this. Who is this?
Ciao.
And she was like, this is Kathy from State Farm, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, how can I help you? And she was like, well, we got your resume, we want to interview you. And I was like, well, I decided I was going to go back to school, so I don't want to come do an interview because I've been doing a lot of interviews. And she was like, well, why don't you come down? We can just talk. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Long story short, went down, talked to her. and then I got hired.
Right.
Got hired at State Farm.
He got hired.
And then had to come and tell my wife, hey, well, not my
Well,
wife, it was my girlfriend at the time.
yeah.
I had to come tell her, hey, I got this great job at State Farm. And she's like, yes. Yeah, but I'm going to be traveling back on the road because
That's
we
right.
essentially been doing long distance since the day we started dating.
Absolutely.
And she was like, finally, I got him home. He
Yeah.
graduated in May.
Yeah.
And then July on her birthday, I started at State Farm.
Yeah. And he was a national catastrophe agent, so that meant, or claim rep, so that meant whenever there was a catastrophe anywhere in the nation, he would go, and he would be gone weeks, months, forever. And we wouldn't know when he would come back. That was just the gig. And he did that for over 20 years. But when he got the job, we were super excited because they said, hey, you get a car, you get a phone, you get paid this much. It was a great salary, especially for someone right out of college.
Oh, yeah, it was. I was probably making like executive management money right out of college.
And then he had to go through training and all of that. And while he was at training, he was telling me that when he got back, we were going to get married. Like, he was going to propose to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. He was like, when I come back, I'm going to bring you something that's round and shiny. And
I did say that.
He was just hyping me up.
No, man, it was done.
He was hyping me up.
Listen,
I was super excited.
We was ready. Like, I got this good job. It's paying really, really well.
Right.
I'm like, I was able to get out of debt completely other than student loans. It was a really, really good paying job. So when I get back, I'm seeing all this money. They were paying me per diem. I was staying in hotels for free. I had a company vehicle, so that means I ain't had no car note. That kind of balling.
And he gave me his car. Like, when I had the most raggedy, like, hoopty cars that you could probably ever imagine. I had to drive all the time. Used to break down. It was terrible. So when he got his job at State Farm, he gave me the car that he had and paid for the insurance and everything. And he was so wonderful.
Listen, no, so we can't talk about the car story without saying, listen, so I had a 91 Ford Escort stick shift. So I had a stick shift, and I was like, I'm going to give you this car. And she was like, I don't know how to drive a stick. So we waited till midnight. And we went out in the middle of the street. It was like, babe, you got to learn how to drive this stick. Because, I mean, it was a really good car. It cost like $8 to fill up the tank.
Yes.
And then, it's less gas you're spending because it's a stick shift. And we went out there and we burned through the clutch.
Bucket Bronco.
But she got it.
Actually, that day I didn't get it. That day I was like, I was so frustrated and flustered and teary. And I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. So I just, instead of just being just irritated, I said, I'm just going to figure it out. So he had to go back. He had to go back somewhere.
I had to go back to Jacksonville.
So the next day I had to go to work. And the job was, I was a bank teller all the way in Conroe. And I woke up that morning and I said, you know what, I'm about to drive this car. I got in the car and I was like, listen, we about to get to Conroe. We about to get there. Listen, we about to do this. So I got in the car and at first my heart was like, oh. But it's like, you got it, LaToya, you got it. So I started driving. It was people honking at me because it was a little bit dicey. But eventually I got the hang of it, and I was like, we about to get on this freeway, and I got it. And after that, I was like, it was so awesome.
So we can't just be like, oh, I gave you a car. No, I gave her a stick shift. Yes. She had to learn. I thought she had it after midnight, but I guess she was like, I got to get to work, get this paper. Okay. And so she got it.
I had to get that paper. But get my bag.
We got to talk about the day I met your parents.
So rewind. Let's rewind.
So after we had our I love you after 4 days, I think it was the next weekend, she called me.
It was actually, my sister graduated from high school. So everybody, it was like the beginning of summer. Everybody, my parents, a lot of times hosted barbecues. My dad, my stepdad, he was like a barbecue guru man. So he would barbecue and have family come over. And we just, like old school, sit and chill and play dominoes and laugh and spades and whatever. So that particular day, it was one of those days, and my aunt and uncle and their kids and family and everybody was over at the house, and we were sitting in the front with my mom was sitting in front with my auntie Donna, and they were actually had like a little baby pool, and my little baby cousin Rachel, she was out there. She was like 2 years old, a little younger, and they were just playing in the pool. And Lonnie was on his way to pick me up because we were going to go on a date. And so he drives up and gets out of the car and go ahead.
So I roll up. I get out the car. I walk out the car, and all I see is people everywhere in the front of her house. They're sitting like essentially they blocking the front door.
Yeah, pretty
so
much.
I walk up and I go, "Is Latoya here?" And a young lady said,
My
"Yes."
mom.
She says,
My mom says.
"Wait," a young lady that I don't know.
My mom
A
says.
young lady that I don't know says, yeah, she's inside. I walk past
He walked
her.
past.
I walk past everyone. I don't speak. I don't say hello. How y'all doing? I said, "Is Latoya here?" She says she's inside. I walk past everyone and walk in the house.
Walk smooth in the house.
As I walk
smooth in the house.
I walk in the house.
You, child, coming up in
And then Latoya's coming down the stairs.
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Hey, babe, what's up?"
down the stairs.
And then she was like, "Did you meet my mom?" I'm like, "No."
I said,
She was like, "They outside."
They're right there.
I said, "Oh." I said, "I didn't meet them. I just asked for you. They said you was inside, so I came inside."
And that began
the assassination of my character.
Look at his face. So everybody, well, I won't say everybody, but what I understood is that people really had an idea of who I was going to be with. And look at him. They definitely had a perception idea of the type of guy that I would be with and who I would date and marry and everything. And Lonnie was not that guy. And listen, they really did have reason to feel a certain way about him. As I said before, and as he said before, he didn't even talk to me because he didn't have the best way to communicate. And he
First impression. First impressions were terrible.
It wasn't just the first impressions.
Okay, the first few impressions were terrible.
Yes,
but
he was abrasive. He was an abrasive young man, and he was very cocky and just arrogant.
And I was unfiltered.
Yes.
And I know now that a lot of that was insecurity that I was dealing with. I'm trying to reassure myself to people that don't know me, and so you can be over the top. I understand that now, but yeah, I would say I'm not reading rooms. I'm just gonna say what I'm gonna say, and then you dealing with that.
And you deal with what I say, because I'm gonna say it, and I don't care.
Like if I thought you was ugly, I would tell you, hey, you ugly. That's not nice, but that's just where I was.
That's where he was, and my parents. My brothers, my extended family, they did not like him. They did not. There were so many opportunities.
Outside of you, was there anyone?
No.
Oh, yikes. So
there's one couple that we always look to. We didn't have people in our immediate family that we could really look to for relationship examples that were positive. But my auntie Sheila and Uncle Mitchell, they lived in Mississippi. We didn't get to see them often, but they came down while we were dating. And Uncle Mitchell, he took to you. He was used to dealing with men of your caliber, shall we say. He was a mentor. He mentored.
Oh, yikes! That's not
Yeah.
good then.
So he really loved me so much, and he saw how much I loved you. So he was like, "Listen, we gonna do what we gotta do to get this child right." I was gonna say,
You can say the N word.
no, I'm not gonna say the N word. I was about to say that word. I'm not gonna say it. To get him right, because I know that it's him for her.
Yeah,
So he was
he was really good. He pulled
yeah.
me to the side and he was like, "She gonna love you, so you don't have to worry about that." He said, "You're not gonna have to worry about no other dudes, none of that stuff. She really love for you. He said the women in his family very loyal, and she gonna love you with everything. You gotta give her what she needs."
Yeah.
I mean, he was super super clear on that, super clear. But no, man, it was
It was tough in them streets for to walk. I'm trying
so
to tell
that's
you.
the example of me walking up and instead of me saying, "Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Lonnie. Is Latoya here?" versus "Is Latoya here?" and then they telling me you in the house and walking past. That's terrible first impression.
Right. And he didn't know that was my mom and my auntie who was
Correct.
like my mom. But he did know it was family. So he could have said something like,
I didn't know it was family, but it would make sense to assume that.
Right.
But because of when I was saying not reading the room,
Right.
I could have took the time to like, "Hey, I'm Lonnie. Who are you?" And she'd have been
Yeah.
like, "Well, I'm Latoya's mom."
Yeah.
And it could have went, but I was on me, and I
Yeah.
was like,
That is I like that. You were on me. I was on me. You were on you. That's what the problem was, is that you really were self-centered. Like you really were, because of everything that you had been through, it was like you had to fight for yourself.
"Well, I was on
Right.
me," and the rest of the people, if you got a sprinkle or something,
Yeah.
that was congratulations. But other than that, I was on me. So
But
no,
so let's go. Go ahead. Go ahead.
so no, that's what I'm saying. So now we're gonna transition back
To
because
me supposedly getting engaged.
yeah,
Yes.
let's talk about that.
Long
So
years.
let's just make sure that the energy is good because you listen because we are married now. We've
We
been married
are.
for a couple decades.
That's true.
You know that I love you
Yeah.
and forgive me for I know not what I do. That's what Christ said on the cross.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So he was hyping me up. It'd been a long time because both of us were in college. We didn't have no money. We were struggling, and it'd been 4 years, and we had spoken about we are going to get married. And then he got this job, and I was kind of devastated to understand that we're going to have a long distance marriage. But I was thankful for the job because listen, you got to go make a living, right? And when he went to the training, he said the next time I see you, I'm gonna have something for you.
Right. So
and I was like, oh my
so
goodness.
the training was, I think it was 3 months. We left in July, August, September. Yeah, I got back September. So it was a 3 month. So I go here, they lay out all the packages. They like, you're gonna be making this kind of money. And at this time, I'm living at home, so I'm not paying any rent. I had Geico insurance on my Escort, which was, man, it's probably like $30 a month. It was something ridiculously low. I ain't had no bills, so all this money I could pay off all my credit card debts that I ran up in college. And after I paid that off, I didn't really have any bills. I think my parents were like, "Hey, give us $200 a month," and I was like, "That's nothing." So I didn't really have any bills at all. So I'm like, I'm about to get all this money.
Right.
I was like, when I get home, boo,
We about to.
it's about to be on.
So the brother come home like, I am so excited! Finally. This. Every time I say child, I ain't saying child. This child. not only did he not propose, he did not mention why he didn't propose. He didn't even bring any of that up. I was in the dark. It was as if we had never had a conversation. Nothing happened. I was so hurt. I was like, what is happening? Explain.
Okay, so everything that she said accurate. So we talking mad crazy noise.
Okay.
Like, hey boo, when I come home, we gonna do this. I got something for you. Yeah, didn't have nothing for her. So what happened was, so I'm up there. I didn't. I don't think I brought anything.
No, not
Nothing but my bad attitude.
Okay.
So anyway, so we're doing the training. Everything's going good. We get to the last week of training and they go, hey, we want to just let y'all know all the things that we've taught y'all, all the things that we've been going over here. It's very, very important that you learn it because you're going to have to go to something they call claim school. And if you don't pass claim school, they walk you out. That automatically mean that you're fired. So I'm thinking I already been hired. I've been here almost 90 days already. So we good. And then they hit me with the, hey, no, you're not hired yet. You're temporary employee.
Yeah.
You're not salary. You're a time card employee until you pass the test. So I did not have the job. I was working a temporary job.
Right.
So in my mind, I didn't have the job. So I'm like, well, I can't propose because I can't take care of her if I don't have a job. If I don't go to claim school and pass, I'm back at square one, still living with my mom and my daddy and my brothers.
Right.
I can't take care of a wife or a woman with that. So I come home, my balloon busted, but I'm not communicating to her that.
Right.
So, so she was rightfully like all the noise I was talking it, but when they hit me with that, I didn't communicate that to her. I more or less went internally like, ooh, man, I gotta make sure I pass. So I went radio silent on that.
Yes.
Because I was just like, I gotta make sure I secure this job.
Right.
So yeah, I apologize, babe.
I know.
That I should have communicated that, and that energy would have been different because you did bring it up occasionally, and I was kind of like, yeah, I know, but I'm waiting. Essentially,
right, and didn't give me explanation at all.
No.
So, in the midst of all of that, I was hearing from the people who were closest to me that he was never going to propose to me, that he didn't love me, that he was no good, that basically I needed to be with someone else, and that just cut your losses. And so I kind of was like, I don't know if I want to be with you anymore. It was a lot, and it was a lot. So we had that discussion, and he was very, very upset. During that time, we already talked about him not having the best way to communicate. He really didn't do well in that moment. But there was something when I saw him, go back to when I looked out the window and I saw him standing there. And I was like, I hope it's him. I opened the door. He's like, what's up? I'm Lonnie. And my heart opened up to him. The Holy Spirit really showed me who he was. And I constantly held on to that aspect of him. And even throughout our 4 years of dating and the trials and tribulations of
man, you making this seem like the book of Revelations. Yeesh.
Listen. I always held on because I actually prayed. I asked God, I said, Lord, if this is who you want me to be with, give me what I need to endure. Because it was a lot. It was a lot. And I fully believe that you were the person I was supposed to be with. So even when all of that, I sat and I wanted to stay faithful to what I felt like God was calling me to do, which was to be your wife. And I just was like, suck it up, buttercup. And then even in the midst of that, when my family were saying all the things that they were saying, they were not only saying things, they were trying to hook me up.
Actively. I'm gonna say that
Even
again.
my own mama,
Actively.
she was.
Oh, I didn't know you was gonna put mama out there,
Listen,
but she
we
did
talked
it.
about it. She did do it. She was trying to hook me up with some other dude. And
Yeah.
I actually was literally she and other guys that people were trying to hook me up with, because like I said, they did not see me with him. And then after the whole non-proposal debacle, it was kind of like, see, girl,
But they weren't me though.
they weren't you. There's something about
They
you.
were they tried it.
They did try.
So-
I like a little bit of a thug too.
So
Like they wanted me to be with somebody who was like Poindextery, like Carlton. I like a little edge.
well, one of them dudes was a thug, but
Oh,
we
that's
ain't
true.
gonna
That's right.
we ain't gonna go into that. But
they didn't know it though. They didn't know he was a
But
thug.
I'm thuggier. Yeah, he was at the church, but I knew him, but they didn't know. But anyway, she made the right choice.
I did.
So
I did.
after I went to claim school, it was a couple of weeks. I passed the first test the first week, and then I passed the second test. I flew home Friday. I went to the jewelry store Saturday, bought the ring, and then on that Monday, I proposed.
That's right.
So I'm gonna tell my little bit, and I'm gonna let you tell your bit. Be gentle. So I went to work that Monday. I told everybody at the office, like, "Hey, I'm getting engaged today. I said I'm proposing." And they was like, "You think she's gonna say yes?" I said, "I hope so." I said, "That's how I see this in my vision." But you never know. So I got dressed up. I had on some black slacks, black shirt, and then I had on this leather coat. It was March.
It was a New Jack City leather coat.
Wow. Okay. We didn't discuss that
with
part.
the shoulder pads.
Yeah. So I had on my leather jacket, so I'm like
Listen.
clean. I did look nice. It was what it was.
did
Now
dress up.
it
You
was
did dress
March,
up.
and you shouldn't have had on a leather jacket. If I went in the store, they might have thought I was about to rob. But I was dressed up nice, had on slacks, everything. And so I call her, and I say, "Hey, babe, why don't you come by the house today? I need you to sign some papers so that we can try to get a house." Because at that time, we were looking for a house, even though I hadn't proposed.
Right.
And so I convinced her. She was like, "Well, I got to go pick up my mom." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, bring your mom."
Right.
And so,
So I went to go pick my mom up, and I said, "Well, Mom, Lonnie wants us to stop at the house." And she was like, "Okay." So went over, pulled up into the driveway, went inside, and he said, "Your mom is out there in the car." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, tell her to come in." I was like, "Okay." So I went and I said, "Mama, come out." She said, "I am not dressed today. I am not dressed. I just look terrible today." I said, "Okay." So I went inside and I said, "She's not coming in."
so I went out there to try to
Oh,
convince
yeah.
her. And she was like, "No, and I said, you're going to regret not
You're
getting out
gonna
this car."
regret it.
And I turned around and went back in the house.
And so he brought me back to his room and walked in, and he had paperwork that he was messing with.
Yeah. So she came in, and so I went down on the ground like the paperwork was under the bed, and I act like I was patting underneath the bed, and I went in my inside pocket of my New Jack City leather jacket. Yikes. And I turned to her and I said, "Will you marry me?"
And I just looked at him and I tackled him. And I was like, "Ah!"
Yeah. She
I
tackled me.
just
So
had
I'm
a
like this. I'm like this. And she's tackled me on me. And I'm like,
Is
"So
that a
are you
yes?"
saying yes?"
And I was like, "Yes."
So she
I
said
was just
yes.
so happy. I was so happy that.
So I put the ring on her finger. 1,000, 2,000. Out of there. She runs out of the
gone.
room.
I was
My
gone.
fiance gone.
I went to go see my mama.
Yeah, so she went and ran and told her mom, and her mom
And
started crying.
She started crying. She's like, "Oh, Toya." And she grabbed my hand and she just started crying. He came out. He said, "See, I told you were going to regret it." And
Basically.
she's like, "Oh."
Still not reading the room.
Right.
Like, "I told you." I told you, sucker. So
Not sucker.
no, but you just like, I'm right. But no,
So,
so we did get engaged.
and
Now,
when we went, I went home, and my stepdad was, I think he was the one who probably disliked you the very most. If you combine all the dislike together, I think he would be the one like would supersede even the combination of the dislike. He was at the refrigerator and he had the door open, and I walked up to him and he closed the refrigerator and I did like this, and he looked at it and he just grabbed me and hugged me, and he was just so happy because he was really afraid that you were going to just string me along and eventually leave me. So he was just like, oh. And then after that, you were the man who set the moon in the sky. Like, you were everything to my parents because they were like, oh my gosh, this dude he does love her. He is going to take care of her. He got this good job. Listen, y'all, we were planning the wedding, and he actually bought me a house. He was like, no, we about to get a house. And I said, no, babe, we could just get an apartment. It's okay. He said, no, I'm gonna get you this house, and I'm gonna get you a car. So for my wedding gift, he bought me a house and a car. The house we still live in to this day. We ain't got the car no more, but
yeah, we'll have some upgrades on the car.
yeah, I had some upgrades. But yeah, it was a interesting courting situation.
Yeah, we played a little trick on them when I bought her the
Oh,
car.
that's right. That's right.
We went, got the car. I'll say what it was. It was a Cavalier, brand new. And so we pull up to her parents' house, and I was like, let me go in there. I'm going to tell them that we fighting and the wedding going to be off. Because this is like we got the house in March. We got the car like 2 weeks before we got married in May. So it was like the beginning of May. And I go in the house, and I was like, Mark, she tripping.
Mark was my stepdad's name.
Yeah. He's like, Mark, she tripping. She don't want to get married. I don't know what to do. And he's like, oh Lord, let me go talk to her. And he go. And then he walks out and she starts blowing the horn. And it was really, really exciting time.
It was awesome.
So we did the wedding. Mark cooked all the food.
Remember, he's a barbecue guru.
Yeah,
so he insisted that we have barbecue at all. We had a very low key. Listen, our money was tied into the house and the car, and I wished in my wildest dreams to have like the most beautiful, extravagant wedding, but I was realistic and I stayed within our budget, which was very small because of what he did.
Yeah,
with
what
the
we
house.
were trying to do, it was really small. But we got blessed even in that. We didn't have to pay for the church venue or none of that. We hid it at a church I was going to at that time.
Got my dress at David's Bridal for a very reasonable price.
Yeah, so we got it done. So we got married.
Yes, we got married.
I can't leave out. She did get pulled to the side the night of, like, yo, if you change your mind.
Listen, my uncle.
Yeah.
My uncle.
What's up, Unc? He love me now.
I was just gonna say it, but this uncle is a different uncle.
Yeah.
He loves Lonnie. I'm telling you, everybody loves Lonnie.
Now.
It's wonderful. Now.
But then.
He pulled me to the side. He was like, listen, niece. My uncle's like, all of them.
Yeah, they super thuggy and
country thugs.
Yes, they country and thug. Like, right. Them country thugs, them black country thugs, you gotta be careful. Hide you. That's right.
They know where to hide you. So he said, niece, if you don't want to do this, we can leave right now.
Yeah.
He looked me dead in the head.
I believe him too. Yeah.
Oh, he
good people though.
And wouldn't have been shame about it at all. And I said, no, because everybody was still, especially out of town family, was still kind of like, I don't know about this child. I don't know about him. So, yeah, but it was a nice wedding, and we came home to our house, and the next day we went.
Yeah, we went on our honeymoon. We went to Hawaii.
We went to Kauai and Maui, which was beautiful. And so we pull up to this beautiful resort, gorgeous resort. They take us to our room. It's a room that had an ocean view balcony, and it was just beautiful. But I was like, it's nice and everything. It's great. It's great. Soon as the people left who gave us the room tour and brought us our luggage in, closed the door, I jumped on the bed. I said, okay, babe, I'm ready for you to get me pregnant. And he was like,
Like,
whoa,
whoa. Like, no. Look, we haven't gotten our first house note, first car note. We note on top of note. I was like, yeah, we don't need to make another bill. And I just told her, I was like, hey, let's just wait. Like, we just bought all this stuff. We're about to start our lives.
Yeah.
Let's spend some time. And then a couple years later.
Yeah. I always knew that I was called to be. I mean, there are a lot of things that I know in different seasons you're called to be, but I knew in that season I was called to be your wife in all seasons and also a mother. And so I had always knew I was going to be a mom. So when I'm like, listen, we married now. so
So no, and so we waited a year and 3 months basically, and then that's
I
when we
got
had our
pregnant
first daughter.
with sweet Lillian.
Yeah,
And then we had Lillian, and then Layla, and then Lonnie. And it's funny because when we started dating, we realized that our first two initials were the same. So he's Lonnie Darnell, and I'm Latoya Danye. And I knew, of course, if we had a son, he was going to be Junior because we had already spoken about that. So then the three of us would be LDW. And I did not want our daughters to miss out on being LDW. So we have Lillian, Danielle, and Layla Diane. And then we have our son, Lonnie Daniel. So we're all LDWs.
yeah. So we had 3 children in like a 5-year window.
Yeah.
The girls are about 15 months apart,
Yeah.
and then the middle girl and the last child are about 2 years apart. We want to say their ages now.
Sure.
Okay, so Lillian will be 21 in September. Layla just turned 19, and LJ next month he will be
My baby.
17, and he's
He'll
a
be
junior in high school.
17.
LJ's a junior in high school. Layla's in culinary arts school.
Yeah.
And Lillian is studying online. I forgot she just changed. It was
Data
accounting,
analysis, I think.
data processing or something like that.
Yeah. And so our children are remarkable, wonderful children who happen to have autism. All three of them were diagnosed at a young age. We got them early intervention at a young age, and that has made a world of a difference. But it has been a difficult journey, different aspects of the things that we have to deal with and what they have to deal with, because when your child is struggling and going through difficult challenges, your heart is tremendously affected by it. So we have been through a lot in our marriage, and one of the hardest things was learning about their diagnosis, and not just that one of them, not two of them, but all of them having autism and being on the spectrum. But I know that God has a plan for them, and that is what keeps me grounded and sane, especially in the early years when I was terrified of what their quality of life was going to be. What kept me was my faith that I knew that God was not going to forsake them. He was not going to forsake me, not forsake us. So, and we still believe and stand on that. We still do.
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. It's been a great one. We can tell stories for days.
4 days.
Like that's just a high. What they say? They say a high level or Cleveland notes. They probably don't even use Cleveland notes no more. But it's a high level
No,
of
they
just
use
our love.
AI and
Right.
whatever those bots are.
So that's just a small piece of our love story.
I love
And
stories.
as we continue to introduce ourselves to you guys and y'all get to know us better, you'll learn more and more details about us and our
Yeah.
children. Anything else you need to say before we close?
Um, I'm just super excited about this journey. I'm just hopeful of what our life is going to turn out to be. Each season has been um, interesting, and I'm just excited of what God is going to do in this season.
I'm really interested in how we can use our stories and the things that we've done, the things that we've been through, the things that we've avoided, and how maybe we can help people as we tell them and explain to them how we walk through our journey together.
Yes.
Each couple, we want to make sure we're clear that your journey is your journey. We do
Absolutely.
what works for us. It may not work for you, but you can listen to someone and you can just take a small piece of, oh, that one little thing. Let me implement that can help you. And that's not just in marriage, that's in life. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship here. We're going to talk about business. We might talk about a little finance. But
Talk about love.
why you got to roll? Don't, don't,
Listen.
don't. Don't roll with it. Don't lean with it, ride with it, roll with it. But we're just gonna let y'all know who we are, and hopefully some of this help y'all, and you
Yes.
take what you can use and what you use. We appreciate y'all time. We'll see y'all next time.
See you next time on Way of the Walkers. Yay!
Way of the Walkers.
Way of the Walkers.
We'll build this together. Any type of weather. Unity is key. Keeping first G-O-D. We will conquer the world. Baby, just you and me. I can vision us now. One big happy family.